Hey,
was like the smoothest join for all three of us.
it's been a while.
I'm pretty excited. Yeah, with all the rain that we've been having, all the Wi-Fi and just cellular data has been crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be rain for the next 2 days.
But I know. And you know what? I still can't get my boat done.
It's gonna get done soon, man. It's gonna get done soon.
Oh. Yeah, once the sun
Luke.
actually comes out.
What's up, Jeremy? Let's get Luke back in here real quick.
We did lose Luke.
It was too good to be true, Kevin.
What's that? The sunshine?
No, the perfect live.
Perfect live.
No,
Yeah.
we lost
The sunshine too, man. I was fishing a tournament on Sunday, and the fish were just bum rushing the tulies that have been flooded and in freshwater, and they're about to just go stupid right now. So
That was weird. It just
That's it.
dropped me.
Yeah, don't worry, we got you back. All right, Kevin, we're gonna repeat that because that's kind of a hot topic.
the
What's about to go crazy?
Yeah, freshwater fishing's about to go off, man. It's I don't know. There was so we were fishing Lake Skinner in a Bass Federation event, and I was co-angler on the back of a boat, and man, the lake was just exploding with life. The gizzard shad were up against the bank trying to spawn and just releasing everything they've been holding that in, for however many months now with all this rain, and the bass were bum rushing the banks and trying to go inside. So it was cool, really cool experience, like the overwhelming, explosion of life that's just because of this really random year of rain with a little bit of sun. So
I saw one of Oliver's videos. He was saying the lake.
yeah, that was today, right? That one he posted today. Yesterday? Okay.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts. When it settles down, it's going to be an insane year. For a lot of things too, not just freshwater. That's my call. I think it's going to be just one of those years. We'll see.
I think so far, even just like in the short amount of time we've had in Spotty World, there's been some big spotties this year. There have also been some big calicos so far this year. And we haven't even really got started. We've had the weather shutting us down more often than we've been out.
It's been just weird.
I know. The thing that I have kind of been touching upon is the growth in spotties in the last couple of years, because I really started fishing harbor bass in general 2020, 2021, 2022, and now it's 2023. And so it's like in that 2020 and the 2021, I caught a ton of 10 inchers, like 12 inches and below. There was a plethora. There was just a ton of those. 2022, I started getting those like 14, 13 ranges. And then like that 2023, end of 2022 is when I started getting the 15s and the 16s way more consistently. And now it's like I can almost go out and get like steady 15.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So it's cool.
Maybe more food. Who knows? Really, we're all in the end, we're all a bunch of theorists. We're not scientists. We theorize about fishing.
Yeah, scientists theorize
that's all I do. Very true. I think it's the first time I ever see you wear glasses there, Luke. Are you?
That's the new look I'm trying out.
That's the intelligent Luke.
I see.
That's the scientist Luke. There you go.
The scientist Luke.
Theorizes right there.
Oh, I like it.
He put his
So Kevin, tell us, man.
Goodness.
How'd you start fishing?
Oh man, I just had the bug. I probably was born with it. I know it sounds cliche as hell, but like that's just normal. I think most of us would agree that when you're this hardcore into it, you either are born into it or you found it, and then you were definitely delayed on your timing just being involved with it. But like many other people, I started when I was like 2 or 3. Really, I really did. My dad just took me and went and decided that that was going to be the thing that I wanted to do. And, yeah, I mean, that's really, I don't know how else to go down that path. It's really as simple as everyone else. And, I think that around like 5 or 6, I started watching the Bassmaster series with Bob Cobb when he was he was doing all the announcing. It was cool, man. He was like that whole series way back when like Lucky Craft first came out and KVD was like on fire. Like that whole generation, like right then was just crazy. And I figured out how to cast a bait caster by watching Bill Dance videos. Like every Sunday, my grandfather would record DVDs on DirecTV. Back then, it was like that was a big deal. And so I was in San Diego and he was in Sacramento, and he would send them down in the mail to me. And I learned like, how to actually cast by watching these guys cast the reel. And in the backyard, I had a pool, so I was back there casting every day as a kid. So that was really it, man. And then I never stopped. And I was lucky enough to have a father that wanted to take me all the time.
Nice.
Definitely.
Nice. Funny that you say about a bait caster, because
which is awesome.
The first time I got my hands on a bait caster, I told my friend, I was like, it's nothing to it, just
right.
I don't know where this is going, but I love
How did that go?
Oh man, it was a mess. It was like a bird's nest and a bird's nest and a bird's nest, And it was all like, I didn't have any, I didn't have no experience. I was always using spinning gear, Yeah. So then I get this bait caster, and it's nothing fancy, And we go to the jetty, and I'm like, I got it. He's like, just make sure you thumb it, make sure everything's correct. I'm like, I got it. It just exploded.
But all of that at 0. It helps cast better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still got my dad started
City frames
with the Tiburon kit.
Oh man, and I ain't got no gear like that.
Is that a squitter? What is that? Is that a squitter? What reel is that? That pen? Yeah. That's cool, man.
How old is that, Luke?
Right there. Yeah.
It's old. It's from when I was a kid. I don't remember.
Those things are bulletproof, literally. They're still around. They still get cast off of back to boats all the time.
Oh,
there it is.
You have one too?
Yeah. Right there.
Aren't you guys the cool ones?
Yeah. Well,
pens come
do you guys
a long way.
Do you guys need any pens?
The what?
I got some. You guys need any? Who wants some?
Charlie wants one so doesn't feel left out.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't count.
That's not even half of them.
So let's move on from how you started fishing.
Even existed.
And let's move into what you were fishing
freshwater bass.
And the weekend before.
Oh yeah.
Made a trip up to
Yuma.
Arizona.
So we went out and visited Taipan rods, and they're in Yuma, Arizona. And Simon was kind enough to take us out for 2 days. And Lane and I went and made the trip. It was just like, it's been so rough out here, honestly, because the water levels have been fluctuating so much, and there's been an inconsistency in like the weather patterns and up until this week, literally. And we just ran out there. We're like, we got to do something about this. It's getting old. So, man, the fishing was on fire. We had some opportunities. There's plenty of big ones coming up, but I wouldn't, if anyone's trying to escape like this somewhat like weird transitionary period, get away and go west or go east and like get us some hot weather. Nevada, like all of the bigger lakes like Havasu, Mead, it's a little low right now, probably not. Colorado River, it's a really interesting place to go and fish, but it can get really crowded quick, so you got to like find your spots and try a lot of different places for sure.
And so you were saying you were recently the second
That was
boater in a
Sunday.
tournament? Was
that
that
was
this last
like 3
weekend?
days ago. So, yeah, that was my first like boat tournament in the bass world ever, and like a freshwater bass. I'm really trying to get into that space because I've always wanted to compete, but I've really never had the time or the ability to do that, and now I kind of do. So I have to work my way in there and start off as basically a grom in that, and then try to move up. And I want to see what I got, and I've always thought I could compete at the bigger level, but I think it's going to take some time, and I want to practice and get good at it. It's no reason to try to go after it if you're not actually got a reason to do it. So one day we'll see. It was tough, by the way.
What's cool about that is you see a lot of people transitioning from freshwater bass, the freshwater scene, to saltwater and bringing all that over. But you don't see a lot of people going from the saltwater scene to freshwater scene. So it's cool to see that drive, and that you're like, no, I want to go further. I want to go harder. I want to do more. So that's really cool and inspiring, because that kind of gets us, the people that are like, well, I don't know how to fish freshwater. Like, it's like I just go whenever somebody kind of invites me. But now it's like, okay, like, all right, more people are doing it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
California is a little challenged because the water is really like freshwater is really overfished. But what you're saying is really right. I mean, spotty guys can transition all they want into a freshwater angler. What's up, Jake? All these guys, I haven't shouted out any of these guys, by the way. I've seen a lot of my friends on here. I just want to say hi. So, but yeah, spotty guys can totally get into the game. I think that one of the things that's really effective in freshwater is plastic worms. And if you guys can fish, a dock with a skirted jig, or you can fish like a PK5 and a neck breaker. I mean, you're kind of already getting in that game. You just got to slow it down or be a little more accurate. Sometimes you got to be faster, but it's really easy to make the conversion from spotty fishing to freshwater for sure. Much easier.
So when you're fishing from salt into fresh, when do you speed it up and when do you slow it down? Like in fresh?
It's more, I think, about the water temperature, and also bait fish, because a really fast bait fish will, and if they're targeting that, it will really, drive the fish to want to hit something that's really fast, right? But if they're eating crawfish, I mean, you got to slow it down because that thing's moving. That thing's creeping on the bottom. So it's similar to spotties. Spotties do the same thing. If they're focused on clams, they're sitting on the bottom looking at, a clam to pop up and then just go and smoke it. Or if they're eating smell or anchovies near the rocks, or in the grass, you're throwing fast. So there's just, I think it really depends on what the fish are keyed in on. Like fish on just said, like patterns, So, but it's, I'll say this: saltwater bass, they don't hit topwater, except for calicos. I mean, they got separation, but yes, but man, buzzbait fishing is like my jam. And if you don't know what a buzzbait is, buzzbaits, it's the coolest thing ever.
I could see it in your face.
No, buzzbaits are the jam, dude. Like, have you ever seen one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's before the actual jig on a metal frame.
Yeah.
Wire frame. Dude, that thing looks so stupid and dumb. It really does. The thing gets eaten good. So, and it's fun. Like, they explode on it or they slurp it, and I don't know, man. It's like the surface iron fishing of freshwater. Really, in my opinion, it's really cool.
So, have you taken that to the salt?
I have taken it to the salt. I catch calicos on it. Actually, I've caught yellowtail on buzzbaits before in Gonzaga Bay, but it was just like dicking around with throwing into boils and stuff like that. It was nothing like actually targeting. Mm-hmm. So Matt Florentino likes buzzbait too.
Buzzbait.
Yeah. What are you pouring tonight, Daniel?
You're gonna have to give that a try.
So I'm getting ready for the Fred Hall show. Sorry, Bart Hall show. I have been asked to make a bunch of 6-aught half-ounce weights or belly weights. So, as you all know, your beloved owner, Beast Hook, has very limited options in what size weight you can get. A 6-aught, I believe, I'll tell you. A 6-aught only comes in, and their packaging is right over it, quarter ounce. So right now I am making a half ounce, and I'm making 22 packs for Bob Stands for the Bob show, which is cool. So I'm going to be kind of working with Shannon and Bill from Sudden Impact to kind of help them, but also help me at the same time.
I have a request.
That's really cool.
Can you make a tin version of a belly weighted Beast Hook?
You mean out of tin?
Lighter. It's not as dense. So
yeah, but do you still want that size of weight though? Because it's going to be the same size, just in a let's say. I don't know what
like the
conversion rate
half ounce you're making, the size.
Because I can have.
But the reason why is there's still a need to have some weight there, but I don't really like it when the bait pushes beyond the weight of the belly weight because it tears the plastic up. I like the big weight there because it stops it and it prevents it from tearing. So on a PK7, when you use the Beast Hook, it's clutch because the bait doesn't scoot past that metal or the lead.
Yeah,
but if you're using the light when it starts
because it goes past and it like really tears it up constantly.
I don't know if you've how much you've seen his belly hooks, but he also puts color on them. So like on this one, just makes it disappear. But he's got like orange and purple. Like, I want to throw an orange belly on this one. There we go.
So I tend to promote the colors that are more natural looking, to where it's like that chartreuse when it hides in the belly of a deeper belly bait. It looks, it seeps through the plastic, those thin layer walls, and it looks like a sack. So same with the orange, or you can kind of pair it up with belly colored baits. So a lot of people pour red in general. So I'll paint a red color to kind of match it, so it doesn't take away from the bait that you're fishing, especially with accent colors. But the cool part is I can do pretty much whatever. I have some really cool color shifting powders that I can put into a clear coat, mix it in, and then you get that really cool color shift. I can do a bunch of different colors. I can do really whatever you want, but I tend to only promote it
gets a little complicated after a while.
Yeah, let's put it like this. People can get very creative with custom orders, and then you're like Nick asking Gary for a 4-color pour. I don't know if they're in the chat right now, but they're gonna love that one.
It's actually funny because that's a conversation that I'll have with Daniel. I'm like, dude, you got to stop custom orders for a while, put out some drops of regular colors. People are getting crazy with you.
They could also do it on their own, I guess, technically. Do you use the powder for your paint?
Actually, no.
He said never again.
I go old school, and I rattle can. So I rattle can, and then I'll put a clear coat over that so that it locks it in a little bit more. So I use a tough epoxy, not epoxy, but epoxy.
Yeah, 2-part.
But it has semi like a jelly finish to it, which I kind of like against the rocks. So it'll tend to kind of like bounce off of it rather than just stick. And so even in my lead heads, I've found like after a while, you're like, I feel like I've had this lead head for almost too long. Like I feel like I should just lose it just to be like, all right, moving on to the next bait. I don't know. So I personally like the jelliness that it offers, but I'm always progressing. So if there's something better,
Right.
So
find,
well,
I'm going to move to.
I'm a little interested in what you said about the tin. What do you mean by tin?
Well, aluminum, tin, something that's a light. I don't think you could do it with aluminum because it'll slide through. There's nothing in heat, like it's not a soft enough material that'll keep sticking onto the hook. Which is why lead. That's why lead's really good.
It's non-porous.
So, sorry to interrupt. I'm going to, usually at this point, I would go, oh, I have a phone for this. Let me look up the melting point of tin. But somebody in the chat, can you guys Google the melting point of tin for me? Please and thank you. And then let's continue.
I actually feel like in the community, we've gone away from a slower approach of fishing, which is somewhat detrimental to like your ability to change your pattern. And if I wanted to slow roll a bait in 2 feet of water, I don't have many options. I'm stuck with something really ultralight that's like almost floating and doesn't allow the bait to be really like keeled down in the middle. So a big boot tail isn't really effective. I got to fish like a fluke, which has more erratic action, and it puts out a really good, it has a directional change. It gives off a different feel in the water. But if I had a tin or aluminum or something light that keeled down that bait, I could fish it in 1 or 2 feet of water, and I could still get that effectiveness of the lure going through that and moving its tail through the water.
Yeah, you can still get that boot tail thumping.
Which is something that I thought is really fun, because Shannon and a lot of freshwater people that I talk to go, if you can go as slow or, go slow, and then if you can, go slower. And that's really what's going to get that bite. And so I was like, oh, what's really cool is I can put a 1/8 ounce weight on a 12-aught. So you can get that big bait, and then you can fish it because it has just enough weight to keep it, like you're saying, up straight, but you can also just slow roll because it has an 1/8 ounce weight on it that you don't really see all that often.
449 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way.
I believe that's similar to lead. I want to say lead, or not. Yeah, lead. I want to say is between 400 to 600. So if tin melts that, you can put that in a lead pot. And so
it'd be cool.
I can do.
No one's doing that. Just letting you know.
Yes. See, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, so Daniel, can we throw 2 ounces on that?
I mean, Luke's always trying to go.
So
I want to get it down there, and I want it to just make.
I think there's a place and a time for everything.
And that. Yeah, and I think the 2-aught's actually going to be really cool because even with the amount of ocean current that we can get or river current, and for those river striper that are just absolutely mean and aggressive and are built different because they're in a moving water, I think that 2 ounce is going to let that bait sit there, and so you can actually almost play it slower because it's not going to move.
Yes. Well, because you start moving into the big 8-inch trout in current and saltwater, and that 3/4 ounce it works, but something heavier would really
2 ounce belly weight would be pretty gnarly though.
I mean,
that's what I keep telling Luke.
Neck breaker on top of it would add to it to get it down. We've done that one before. Neck breaker with the beast hook with weights. It works.
Yeah,
good.
I was actually watching some I think somebody posted up on Instagram where they were altering the neck breaker with the beast hook.
Yeah.
So what is it? Is it a twist to the actual
yes, to the
eye?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, you just take it, you undo the split ring, you take pliers and you just put it right against flush to the head, and you take it and you just turn it a little bit, 90 degrees, and you get what you need. So.
And that just helps your bait last longer as well.
Matt Florentino, I just saw your comment. I've done that with the rubber core sinkers, just using their pliers and pop them on.
Yeah, he knows a lot, by the way. He'd be a great guest to have on one day. I'm sure he'd be willing.
Oh, Oh,
Good, good.
We're open to talk
Got
to him.
crazy, corporate history and the industry history in this community. So it's he's been around.
So with that being said, tell us about how you used to do the guiding with the kayaks, and then now you're doing fish trips.
Good transition, Charlie. Good transition.
But before you start that, I didn't realize that you had done the guiding, and Charlie starts telling me, "Oh, there's this video where he's got two yellowtail hooked up at the same time," and it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video. I didn't even connect it. I can't.
Yeah, dude.
And they're not small yellowtails. They're not small yellowtails.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, when the second yellowtail hit, it was like, oh, what did we just get into? And I started the video over. I didn't even keep watching. Started over.
Oh man, I had so many fun days out there. It's changed a lot. The fishery has definitely changed, mostly because there's a lot of kelp that's died off. I think that there's a lot of reasons that the kelp has died, and one of them I think is because of a particular starfish that eats urchins. And if you don't understand, like, urchins eat a ton of kelp. That's what they eat. And they eat the stalks. And the thing that's really sucky about that is that there's only one anchor point for a whole entire stalk of kelp. And then once it gets cut, it's done. It has to re-anchor, and it starts its whole other journey all over again. So if there's an overwhelming amount and overabundance of urchins, it really affects the population of the kelp. And so this one starfish, I forget what it's called. I'll look it up, and I can't remember. Someone's going to comment. There was a 90% die off because they had a disease. And there's like no kelp out there anymore in La Jolla. Just letting you know, like, it's, if I took you back to 2010 when I first really got into guiding, then I took you now, you would be like, this is not the same place. It's void of kelp. I used to have to paddle through the kelp, not pedal, but paddle at least a mile, like, through the forest to get to my sea bass spots. Now I'm like over it, and there's no kelp below. So that's like how stark of a contrast it is. Anyway, it's been kind of crazy. I don't really know what's going on with the ocean. I think it's just, there's a lot of changes happening, not just climate wise, not just current wise, not just rainwater wise. I think we got a lot going on. And it's really challenging people that are using the resource a lot, like commercial guys, light guides. When the bluefin, if it ever disappears, I hope it never does, but there might be an issue with people trying to go back to what they used to do, and it could really change the industry around here. So the bluefin's been amazing. It's really spawned this crazy fever that everyone has experienced for the last since 2015. It's inspired a lot of people to make new businesses, and it's been great money, to be honest with you, and it's been great for the industry. We have a lot more respect as far as like our state now and in our culture here because of bluefin. People may not recognize like how much it's been pivotal in changing the conversation, but because we have it, a lot of people can break into a part of the industry they've never had access to, especially like Florida and New England and places like that have had years and years of experience with, well, not Florida, but the upper Northeast New England area. Like, they've had tons of experience with bluefin. Anyways, I've been off on a crazy tangent there.
No, that's like
my bad.
That's what we want to do.
Nah, man, that's awesome. I mean, you're dropping knowledge.
To circle back around, we have an influx of the purple sea urchins, which what you're talking about is killing off the kelp. So right now, there's a huge push to popularize uni, which comes from the purple sea urchin, which I've never actually had, and I really want to get it, but I'm just too lazy to ever go out and actually find it. But you're allowed to keep so many of them when diving. I know it's a huge popular thing in sushi, and there's a lot of different ways to cook it. So small plug for uni and taking legally sea urchin.
we probably won't be able to keep up with the population, unfortunately, with picking it. But there was a guy in La Jolla who used to pick it a lot. He used to pick red, not purple. Purple's smaller than the red, and so people favor the red more. But this guy used to go down there and just hammer them. And he died, unfortunately, in like 2016 or something, one of the bigger, like, urchin divers in La Jolla. And after that, it's just kind of changed. And, I don't know, like the sea star that eats the urchin, that's a big deal. If 90% of them die, that's kind of a problem. So, anyways, it affected my guiding a little bit. It didn't really kill the bike too much, but like you could start seeing it being a bit more difficult. The fishery just like became very hard to compete in. There's people that came up and did the same thing that I did and try to make a name for themselves. And it was great. Like there was a time and a place for it. But, when I first started guiding, there was this huge squid that was out there for almost 2 years straight. It was just ridiculous. And it was an easy way to make money and good money. And the fishing was great and people were happy. That was like 2010 through that's when I kind of first started the guide business. And then I went all the way up until 2020. And it was all about kayak fishing. We went after white sea bass, yellowtail, halibut, sheephead. I love sheephead fishing. And we whacked them. We did a lot of good fishing and, rockfish was occasional. I was more of a big fish guy. And, I think that really helped me get more or less a understanding of how to have a business in the industry. And it helped me get into the doorway with Hobie, which happened in 2012. So after Sea Samurai and it really went off and I was doing it for like 200 days a year for 2 weeks for 2 years, I slowed down and I decided to transition and go into a corporate job because I got a really good offer from Hobie. And, I went and worked for Morgan Prominence, and there was only him and I for a while, and then Howie Stress got hired, and we ran that place for 8 years in the fishing industry. So it was really cool to meet a ton of people. I met Matt Florentino. I met tons of people in the industry because of that company. But Matt Florentino, I worked with him on a couple of projects with the tournament we ran, and it really got me invested in the industry. And I was like, after a while, when I quit my job, I kind of considered doing a couple other things, and I just decided I was never going to go back to a different industry. So
you're like, I'm staying here.
There's nothing better than the fishing industry once you're in it.
Of course, man. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. It's just hard to make money. Like a lot of people don't understand how much of a grind this industry is because people are so cheap. Unfortunately, they're very concerned about their money spent. I get it. They want to spend it the right way, right? So I shouldn't say cheap, but they're very conservative with their money. So in our industry, it's a battle of quality, or it's the ultimate in less quality and super cheap. So you have to go two ways in your business. It's hard to find a middle ground between the two, but right now you can see the overwhelming change in the industry where people are really transitioning, looking for quality. It's a very big transition, and something that we haven't seen, I would say, since really like the good old days when Shimano and Daiwa were going at it together in like 98, 2000s, when technology was the leadership in buying purchase and in buying power for consumers. I think that's coming back. I think there's too much of similar products out there. I think there's just a huge flood of this in the market. So,
now, sorry to cut you off. Do you think this is because of the popularity that fishing has gotten, that you're seeing this rise in quality chasing? Because with more people means more saturation, and potentially that next level gear, that higher quality, is going to set you apart from the guy standing right now.
I think that the consumer is fatigued. They're very tired of seeing similar things that are way too close. And it's a brand alignment now versus an actual quality product. And they're wanting to escape this because they're seeking to be part of a new brand that's coming up. that want to really give back to the customer as much as they're giving to them. And I think that's changing. A lot of detachment has happened over the years because the brands that have been out there have really forgotten what the community is like. They don't get themselves involved in fishing. They don't understand the direction and the pivot inside of its own market. And so I think a lot of these boutiques and these companies that have really figured out that now is the time to get in position, they're starting to get their results. So, and I'm part of that. You know, that's my business, is really structured about finding things that are interesting to people and then wanting to get that out there. It's a grind, though. It's not easy, and I think that goes for anyone that's in this industry, but especially boutiques and custom manufacturers and things that are very unique in its own culture. I think there's a lot of respect that needs to be given for those kind of people, for sure, because there's not a lot of that out there right now in a lot of industries. There's so much flooding from overseas production and other things that are happening. And I have kind of brands that are doing that still, but at least they have something that's different to choose from, you know? So that's my understanding of it. And I've seen it work for my business, for sure.
Would you say people are more open to the smaller brands now than they were in the past? Where like for example, the Type and rods. Do you think 6 years ago they would have done as good as they're doing now? Where people were more like, no, I want Shimano or Daiwa. Where now people are more willing to be like, well, let me see what this is about and support something that's
I
more
think
grassroots.
that recently, since 2020, we've had an overwhelming surge of new anglers come to this community, and a lot of people expose themselves to wanting to be participating in the outdoors. But one of the great things that happened aside from that was more business was going to become available to people that wanted it. And I think culturally, people haven't identified with something like Shimano or Daiwa. I'm not throwing anyone in the bus. I'm just saying those are the biggest, right? They haven't really identified with that yet. And so they're looking for an opportunity to find people that they feel like are vibing with them as a culture, as a brand, as a name, right?
They didn't necessarily grow up watching
like we all probably grew up watching Bassmaster or like, you know, Inside Sport Fishing on TV or Bill Recker or like all these people. Yeah.
Every show had a pit commercial.
Yes. One of the big ones out here for sure. And they're reliable and they've been around for years, right? And so now think about if there was ever an opportunity for a big, small brand to come in, like there would probably be no better time than right now, because there's a huge oversaturation of product out there from these big companies, and there's too much of it. People are more or less looking for something that's very niche, that's something that they can gravitate to, that they can be part of first, and then they can see the development of it and support that company. And a lot of it comes, there you go, Daniel right there. Darwin's a perfect example. And there's a lot of people that are out there doing this, and it's very true. But one of the things I want to say is, like, people kind of understand that this is a weird topic to transition to, but money is a very important way of describing support. Money is a faculty of your hard-earned time, putting it into someone else's hard-earned time, right? And it's nothing else but a transitionary object. It's a way to give someone additional leverage, to give something that they can do more of, right? If you like that thing, well, how do you support them? You buy it. Yeah. So if nothing else, the money is changing. It's coming out away from major brands to things that are really different. And not like a little different. I'm talking like an alternate way of thinking. So we have those brands. We do that business. That is what we do. And it's a very big reason why we're succeeding, is because people are tired of the same thing and they want to be part of something new. But 6 years ago, I don't know if that would have been the same case. No.
So I think you really hit it on top of the head. It's a lot of people have said, I'm tired of supporting these big businesses that don't even know I exist. And it's kind of fun because, we kind of poked fun. We did a little bit of joking about custom orders. I mean, as true as it is, I love custom orders. I've had some people hit me with some absolute crazy colors, and it comes out, and I go, oh, this is like my new favorite color. I wouldn't even have thought about pouring this. This is awesome. And so then I pour a couple extra for myself, and then I go fishing. So that's always the fun part, I think, about custom orders in that sense. But like you're saying, there is a big draw into a smaller business just because of all the big businesses are pretty much generic now.
There's a lot to be said when something big comes along and it's from a big business. It is important. I can't describe like the importance of like a T-wing design. That was a very innovative project. What's that?
Or the DC.
The DC series. I mean, that's been around for a long time, but they made it into something a little bit more manageable for an active user versus like the Trinidad DC, which was an $800, $1,200 an hour, whatever the hell they're going to go for right now. But they're, there's these things that have come around, and when they stick, they're very important to the growth in the industry because they do develop other behaviors from other brands to challenge themselves versus getting in the routine of trying to just rebrand a product. So, or just, make a new version of it. I think that a lot of companies out there are also not recognized for this, but they're still early to the game. I think we're seeing something that's probably going to last for, I would hope, for maybe 5 years. 2 years is probably next a realistic expectation, but there's only going to be so much of this and for so long. So it comes in waves, just like most things. People get popularized and then they fade. My job right now is to make sure I capitalize and have real reasons to do that. So not just trying to throw something on someone and expect them to believe in it. Like try this, like it is really amazing. So, I think that, that's if I haven't said enough, I think there's a lot of that coming out from the community right now.
So as you start your company, right, Fishing Reps, and you start growing it, you actually have people going out, right, repping?
Yeah.
But the people that test for you, I guess like Lane and them, right? Is that something that happens before something comes out, or are you guys just as it comes out? I don't know if I made sense.
It does make sense. Let me unwind a little bit. I'm going to answer your question, and then I'm going to tell you about like how our business works. And I think it's a little bit misunderstood. But so to your question, we have marketing staff. I'm one, if not the only sales companies that understands marketing and how it associates with each other. There's a lot of companies that are into marketing, and then there's another divide, and they have sales, right? And it's very rare that they're able to cross over and to understand how influence from marketing develops into more sales. It's not really a common thing. It's more of and it's to the credit of these marketing companies, because if you can tell people what you might be creating in sales, but you don't have any hard numbers, you get more consistency with contracts, because you can just say you got views, but does it actually mean sales? Who cares? Like people just want views. I can tell you when we do marketing, I can actually tell you how many we've sold because of that campaign. So it is different. And not a lot of people have realized how to do that yet. And it's because of, the only other people that really understand this is like maybe a tackle warehouse, some other like J&H Tackle, these stores that have kind of figured it out in the fishing industry. I do marketing campaigns, I make sales. And so I would hope that if there's my tackle stores are listening, that they understand when they do social media posts, it actually makes sense. You're not just doing it because it's just because you're being a social media, hoe. you're trying to do this to make awareness and actually translate that into sales. So let me go back to my so Lane is very important for this, and the other guys, we have Nate Fulo, we have Nick and Jacob from California Current. That's our cutoff. Outside of California, we're going to work with other people, but Cali's kind of shut down right now. But those guys get product. I talk to them. Shannon's also a very critical person in my development of like ideas and like interesting products that we want to bring on. And so I bounce ideas off, and aside from the other reps that I have in my company, we all want to understand what maybe the opportunity is for all of us to participate in something that's in our opinion a bigger deal. So Base Reel Company is a perfect example. The Base Reel Company came around, and that product was like so new to people. It had 500 likes or followers on their page less than 2 months ago, and it's exploded. And for me to be able to get reels and then show them to Lane at the time, I don't think Shannon was with us yet, but like to explain to people like the importance of this, that was really the major breaking point that I saw with us investing in our own company and our own people. So full circle, let me explain my business. My company, Fishing Reps, is a sales rep group. Our job is to make sure that stores wholesale accounts get stocked. Okay. They have to be introduced to product. They have to feel comfortable ordering from the brands that we represent. And in the end, that translates in us getting the account, right? So we make money off the sales that happen in stores. Without order flow and reorders, we don't make any more money. My reps don't make any money. So I need to have them involved. They're everything to making this work, really. But what I did was I gave my sales rep a tool, because in the sales rep industry, in that part of the industry, it's very tough to be able to continually create reorder opportunities. And so imagine like ordering from an Excel order sheet from 16,000 products and getting down to just certain products you wanted to order. It's so time consuming to even make an $1,100 order that for a sales rep, it's not worth the time to go and talk to these small businesses, mom and pop shops. You can name any one of them in Southern California, okay? They're very at odds with themselves to go and talk to small business. So what I designed was a website, that's fishingreps.com. That is the software that we use to make orders. There is never any opportunity. My reps will never touch Excel. As long as I own the business, no one's going to touch Excel. Never. Unless they want to do it for their own invoice.
I'm pretty sure they're
very happy
too.
That is it's an intense tool to use.
Yes, but imagine.
Well, and it seems like that plan allows you to, instead of having a used car salesman selling a car, you're now the race car driver selling.
You're right. It's the athlete now that's actually pitching the sale. Because if the athletes raise the bar, then they'll be able to make sales through the store. So the pathway for us to make money through the store, but the real way we make money is through consumers, customers, like everyone that's watching this, regular people buying this product. So we aren't detached from the community, we're part of it. And that's what separates my business, Fishing Rep, to someone else. But it's because of the tool that we were able to do this. Without the website, I wouldn't be able to have the business run like it is. So if everyone understands like how e-commerce works now, it's all about the ease of interaction. And so one of the companies that does this very well is Tackle Warehouse in the fishing industry. Everyone knows what Tackle Warehouse is. I would hope so. Everyone likes it. Why? Because they usually have inventory. They tell you when the inventory is coming, but most of all, it's easy to order from. Imagine Tackle Warehouse, but for wholesale. That's what I do.
Right.
It's faster. It keeps everyone in contact. All the tracking information is provided. But I need to be a better salesman than the salesman. So if I can do that and I can tell people that we have access to that, they have access to this e-commerce platform, and it's possibly better than theirs, I've probably made a sale because of that. So I've worked hard at it. I developed the whole thing myself. I really actually, the first inspiration to get me into this was because of Roman Castro. Shout out to him. He helped me with getting server side set up. Aside from that, and the back end to be able to get that infrastructure in, I did it all myself from there. And it's not to go without saying, I've really lost a lot of my personal life because of this. But it's been amazing, and I don't regret any part of it. It's just been very different, way more of a project I can get behind, like with my time, to reinvest my own time into it and to give back to the people that are working with me and the community that's supporting. So all of it is interconnected. I don't feel detached from any part of the community or the industry. I feel like what I tell Lane is we're trying to be everyone's best friends, and that's really what we're trying to do, is make sure that everyone's happy. So it's tough. Like, you have to negotiate certain things politically, and sometimes you piss off people, and it's just the way it is. But I try not to do that a lot, and I try to just make sure that what we're doing is fishing oriented and business oriented. So.
Mm-hmm. So originally, we wanted to have you on to talk about the upcoming show, and now it kind of works out nice because I've been hearing a lot of rumors about who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. So we kind of got the perfect guy here to set the record straight.
There you go. Which show are you talking about? Bart Hall, or are you talking about your show?
Bart, okay. Yeah, Bart Hall. So we want to know who you're.
Bob Sands Island. None of my brands are going. So, but they're represented with the stores. There's actually going to be, just letting you guys know who are missed out on the Warbaits ADHs, they're going to be there. Those are the first thing to sell when we were over there with the premium rods. They'll be over there, made by Taipan. So if you guys want them and you missed out on it, that's a bad rod right there, man. You guys should check it out. And they're both at Island and Bob Sands. And there's a limited quantity, and I hope you guys get them if you want it. But yeah, there'll be Warbaits and Submission Fishing Company products in, I believe, both. For sure, Island. Warbaits will be in Bob Sands, and so will the rods in both those guys.
Well, there was a big spotty tournament last weekend, and first and fourth place came on that rod reel combo.
Yes, I was watching. That LA Fishing Line tournament was tight, but shout out to Nick, man, and Shannon, and all the other guys that participated. You guys, man, it's a challenge to be able to fish anywhere. I know you have to be back at the shop in time for the weigh-in, but man, it is really fascinating how people just they try different places. It's kind of like the Coastal Social that CCA puts on, where you can fish anywhere, but it is a very challenging tournament because you have to make the right pick.
Yes, definitely.
Not just tides, but the most important is the body of water. And wherever Nick's fishing, dude, he's got a spot, man.
So for me it was, I got bites, but nothing connected, and the tide was really low. But a lot of people managed to get on them, and it was pretty cool.
I talked to a lot of people there, and there was a pretty even split of I didn't get anything, and it was my best day of the year. You saw both of those at this one.
I thought Charlie was about to burn Nick's spot. The way he jumped in about that, he was like, wherever Nick was fishing, that's really good, Charlie. So let me tell you where he was fishing. I got excited. I'm gonna be honest with you, guys.
I was fishing MDR with Luke. We were talking to each other.
Really? He chose MDR?
No, he didn't do it. I did.
Wow, that's ballsy. That's ballsy.
No.
Well,
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, I had a plan. I have a lot of spots that will produce.
I had a plan.
So there's a couple things. Number one, Long Beach has been mud lately because of all the rain. It cleared up on Saturday. It was mud Friday. It got clear on Saturday. So that's number one. You had a bunch of hungry fish that could eat for the first time. Number two, I'm not going to give any secrets here, but we have a crankbait spot. We've shown it in our videos before where we're fishing crankbaits. We always get bites at the crankbait spot. I couldn't buy a bite.
You couldn't buy one. That's good. That's good.
Couldn't buy one. All the spots we have, there's this little stretch where I know there's good fish. I got four fish there in the entire day. And that was the only out of the dozen spots we have there. That was the one spot I can
Have you
fish.
Fished MDR before, Kevin?
No, I've only heard some things, but they don't look very big.
They don't sound good, huh?
Well,
there's some good fish there, man.
Is there?
In a 6-hour day, I should not have a problem getting 3 qualified fish.
15?
I got I got 2
That's pretty good
for this one. And the year before I fished MDR in place.
That's still really good. I mean, dang. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So if I'd have had 2 15s, if I'd have had another qualifier, I would have at least been in the conversation.
So I think you're gonna have to jump on Luke's boat.
Whoa, I'm down. What was Nick's limit?
47.
He had like 47.
So wait a minute.
And change.
He had 117 and 2 15s.
Oh my God, he had 17.
I thought he had a
17
16 or something.
No, he had 17 and 15 and 3/4, I think.
I thought he had a 20 in there.
Well, it's funny because
that was for the judge, huh?
I've heard this comment multiple times. Like, I don't want to fish that one because you're just giving.
I wonder who said that.
Well, Nick's won twice from the shore.
Yeah.
Nick's won twice from the shore, so you're not giving your money to boaters. The real sleepers are the guys in the small boats who will go tie up to a dock
and tubers
and then go run the whole dock.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so what I heard is, especially Marina del Rey, a lot of fish have been holding deeper into the slips. And so, like Luke was saying, if you're tying up, or if you're in a tube or even a kayak and you're kind of getting into those spots, you're catching fish. However, the specific person that he's talking to, caught 15 spotties, all, probably 14 and under.
Mm-hmm. No, but he still had a bag.
Yeah.
I mean, a bag of 3, it was 3 fish, right? A bag is
over 14.
3 fish over 14. If it was under
bag
14,
of
then it
3 14-inchers is in its own right pretty good on any given day, right? And
of course.
Yes.
But like you had said at the beginning, I believe with Daniel, that the fish quality of size has been going up a lot recently. Or I don't remember who said that amongst the three of you.
Daniel said, yeah.
Okay. But I would agree, man. It's been really weird. The last couple of years have been very consistent with some big ones around. I think there's a lot less small ones than there used to be too. So very, very, very weird transition. But I've seen some limits in the spotty bowl when we do it that would surprise the heck out of you, man. It's there is some killers over there too. So, but I do think that it's really neat to be able to be fished anywhere you want. I hope they do it again. I hope they do it more. I think that LA Fishing Line should put on more.
They were talking about doing a night team tournament or a team tournament. So three fish.
Yeah.
Nice. Night one?
So I think it's at night.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm stoked on that. And just to put this in perspective, that crankbait spot I was talking about, Daniel went out there once with a bunch of my crankbaits, and he had a 16 fish day.
For how many hours?
Which is not a whole lot of guys like, oh yeah, my 16 fish spotty day.
That's really good.
Not many. I mean, if it's biting on the crankbait, you can catch 20 within hours. It's ridiculous.
Not me.
I mean,
Ooh.
am I just better than you?
Ooh, that's
No.
Probably.
I wouldn't say that.
All right. Somebody started catching big
That's
fish
why
and
I
started
hang out
getting
with
cocky
him,
now.
because
All right. All right. We see. But yeah, I mean, I fished MDR. I started fishing MDR for spotties, and I mean, I'm a short pounder, man. I mean, I don't have a boat. I have a kayak, but it's a little hard to take out. No, I do.
He doesn't like
But
kayaking.
yeah, man, there's some nice fish, but like Daniel said, you know, it's a pressure spot too. Don't get me wrong. If you're a short pounder,
Yeah.
and you know, it's a lot of no fishing zones, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, one of the things we were talking about doing our next glizzies at the ramp, and it came up, should we do Marina Del Rey again? And it was like, you know what? When there's that many people at Marina Del Rey, there's just not enough fish for everybody.
It's not a big enough harbor to accommodate 15 plus people. So if you're in a boat, in a kayak, and from shore, you're just looking at the guy fishing the same exact water. And again, you can catch fish even if it has
definitely.
Fish by a person just before you. It's all about presentation and what you're throwing. But it gets a little bit saturated because Sunday, below average fishing, Ben held a tournament Sunday. He had about 19 people sign up. There was about 19 people shore pounding. And the amount of comments we got from residents of just like, oh, fishing here, blah, 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 why are you fishing? I got kicked out from a couple of spots that I normally fish.
No problem.
Without any problems. And it was just kind of funny because
Charlie tried to fight a guy.
Oh,
no, I didn't.
gosh.
No, I didn't.
I mean, story.
Yeah, so
the
guy, I'm fishing my normal spot, right? And I'm walking, and it's a promenade, right? People walk through there, So he comes and he's like, do you have your fishing license? And I'm like, yeah, I have my fishing license. It's in my backpack. He's like, no, you have to have it on your hat. No, and I'm like, what? And I was just like, no.
Words for Charlie. No. Charlie said, you know who you're messing with?
No, he didn't.
Charlie.
So he was like, no, you're stupid. This has been a law for 60 years, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Have a good day. And he's like, you're an asshole. And I was like, I hope you don't fall down that ramp. Because it was uncalled for, and I'm like, I'm not a really confrontational guy, man. I'm really I really let stuff go,
And I would agree with that.
It was because I'm like, what? But it's just,
dude. So I live in Marina Del Rey, and I have been kicked off of every dock, every location, every corner of Marina Del Rey. I've been told not to fish, go away, blah, blah, blah. So I just look the person in the face and go, hi, my name's Daniel. You're going to see me a lot more. I live here now. I used to not live here, and I still got kicked out a lot, but now I live here.
I'm the taxpayer.
I'm going to be back
he's a
hour when you're gone.
He's a taxpayer.
Yeah. Taxes just like the other guy. Yep.
Right? Oh, we know you, Daniel. You live on that corner over there.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I was telling someone the other day, I was like, I want to be the neighbor that people think of me as borrowing sugar and can go get butter from, so they don't mind me fishing. They go, oh, that's Daniel. I just got a cup of sugar from him the other day. I don't want to be the neighbor that they think is selling narcotics, because then they'll never.
Look what you're wearing right now. Look what you're wearing.
Right? So
he looks like a character out of Breaking Bad right now. Oh
God. So we have a buddy who knows where Daniel lives and will go and leave all his used baits out in front of Daniel's place. And Daniel's wife goes, goes, "You need to tell your friends to stop leaving their baits out in front of our building." And he goes, "How do you know they're mine?" And she goes, "They say your name on the side of them."
No. You're going to get me in trouble now. Don't answer this and I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said a couple words wrong.
Yeah, you're telling the whole story wrong. So one person, I think, somewhere left my bait. And then one of the residents who I met early on who fished was like, I recognize this. And I was like, dang it, who's been leaving my baits around? Everybody knows that I fish marine.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows what my baits look like. However, what was funny is my wife found baits and she brought them home. She was like, hey, I brought you some baits I found. Make sure, I pick them up because I don't want the dogs to eat them and all that stuff. And she's like, yeah, it's stupid that people leave baits. And I'm looking at this color and I'm looking at this bait and I go, there's no way that I know who makes this bait. It's impossible with the saturation of baits that we've been talking about and just products in there that I went, this color is made by so-and-so and this bait was poured by, I went, there's no way that the one random bait that you found, I actually know who made this. And so then I called them up right away and was like, are you leaving baits by my house? You're going to get me in trouble. I'm trying to have a good name so that I can go fishing.
Trying to get you in trouble, man.
My story was so much better.
I know. People don't want me fishing my own water. So, they're trying to.
There's a real problem with this state trying to prevent people from fishing and getting access. It's really bad. I really feel for the next generation because even right now, you go to Long Beach, I don't even know a place like around the city that you can fish and not feel like you're going to get arrested or, like harassed, not arrested, but harassed.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, we had the cops pull us over. Me and Daniel were in two separate boats, pulled over both boats. And they said, security told us, we told you to leave. I said, they did. I said, where should we go? They said, anywhere that's out of here. We drove 2 miles down. They followed us for 2 miles in their car. We started fishing again. They said, we told you to leave. I said, I drove 2 miles. Where should I go? And they said, we already told you out of here. That was the only thing that saved us when the cops pulled us over because security guards told them the same thing. And they're like, yeah, you have to tell them the limit of the boundary. You can't just tell them out of here because they did drive 2 miles. But it wasn't that quick of a conversation. It was an hour conversation that took an hour out of our fishing time.
Scary guy, especially at midnight.
A big bearded dude.
No visibility. You just.
Yeah, we have the city lights in the back, and you just see the silhouette of this, Bigfoot on a boat walking on water. We have Bigfoot walking on water. Of course, we're going to roll up slow and go, "What's up, sir?" And Luke's just like, "Oh, nothing, just fishing." Oh my gosh! No, they respect Luke out there.
Good. We need people like that. One of my interesting conversations I want to have one day with any one lawyer that's out there is I want to find out if state constitutional law supersedes municipal code because I think we're getting screwed as fishermen. I don't think we're in the people that are telling us we can't fish in public waterways are in the wrong, big time. I don't think they're legally allowed to do that. In fact, I went through a huge amount of research to figure out how legal it was to be fishing in a place that was in theory or being posted was illegal. So I went through a whole thing. I wrote an article on it and put it on on fishingreps.com, and I list out the state constitutional law and CDFW code, and I lay it out there that people shouldn't be worried about going to fish a public place because you're legally allowed to do that by the state constitution and the CDFW. You have rights. So,
well, what's also interesting is, like I was telling Daniel that particular day, I said it's best just to say okay and leave because we took so much time out of our fishing. I said, but the bottom line is when you break a law, you get a ticket, you get a fine. For example, I read a map wrong once, and I was fishing in the MPA zone, and luckily we were catching and releasing, so there was a very minimal fine, but there was no, hey guys, we're going to give you a warning. It was you were doing this. This is the fine for this. I said if we weren't allowed to be here, they wouldn't be giving us a warning. The fact is, we're allowed to be here.
That's right.
It's convenient for them
It
to
is
kick us out.
convenient.
That makes a lot of sense.
Very convenient for someone to kick you out and not try to go through the work of explaining why. So, but that's a problem for us as fishermen because we're saying, okay, we're not resisting. It's creating an easier way for people to prevent that from happening in the first place. So I think it's time for people to kind of understand what fishermen do as far as interacting with the ecosystem. And a lot of that translates into what I do with CCA. And what we're trying to do is give people the awareness that aren't necessarily anglers, that we aren't the bad guys here. Like your children fishing off a dock are not the problem.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Like, why are you trying to prevent 16-year-olds from going and fishing a place, and instead you're encouraging them to go into a dark alley and do something weird? Like, what's the problem here? Or be at home all their life and not interact with anything in nature? Like, who's really the bad guy? So I think a project that would be really fun one day is for people to understand like how they get their sushi, right? Like I know people understand that, and they understand that it requires someone to go catch it. But do you really know how it's done? Like, do you really know why it's so awesome for us to go out there and do it ourselves and not rely on the sushi restaurant to provide that for us, or a fish market? Like, we go out there and we feed our family of 4, maybe 20 on occasion, and that's all we're doing is like we're satisfying our ability and our God-given right to go and access the resource, and we're supplementing our family with food as well. But that's every bit of the situation where we're allowed to do that in this country, thank God. And go ahead. I'm done.
The thing that pisses me off is you're going to restrict where I'm fishing, but then I'll go out on a tuna trip and see a seiner out there. And it's like, really, I'm the problem, and this is fine.
You're right. It's where the money goes. That's where the money. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So
they're gonna close the spots I want to fish, but they're not closing any spots the same.
You know, and this brings up a more political topic, but it's something that we all need to be aware of. Recreational angling is the smallest part of the community and the industry by a margin, like a pretty significant margin. What they don't really understand is how much money recreational angling actually provides for our state. Aside from being license sales, which is what they normally justify the economic means of drafting that information from. I have a job. I have, people that are employed by me. Dawn's out there working right now. You guys are wearing brands that are, you have literally a podcast happening right now, right? All this is happening to economically stimulate your guys' businesses, but they can't really justify how much money is actually made. So why this is important is because there's an overwhelming amount of money that's being made in commercial markets because of they have to weigh their fish. They have to write down the information of how much they've made, right? They're submitting their tax forms. They literally have tax code for commercial fishing and harvesting. So they're able to understand in great detail how much money is being brought in the commercial market. Rec guys, we don't have that luxury. You have taco shops, you have big business, you have, you don't have anything to do with maybe sport boats, but they're still commercial technically. So we get hosed out of understanding socioeconomic impacts out of discussions that are made at the political level. And it's not a good way of doing it right now. So there has to be some undoing of that.
And what's funny is, not funny, it's sad, I guess, is you go and look at Florida and they'll break down how much money
that's a great way.
Species. Peacock bass brings in this much money.
Yep.
Largemouth bass brings in this much money. And they're taking into account hotels, travel, airline fare, all of it. Like, do you have any idea what the money is just in travel to San Diego?
Yeah, that's why we live here.
Just hotels, gas, and donuts in the morning.
Oh my gosh, Luke. So to speak on this even further, Mammoth, Bishop, the Inyo County.
Mm-hmm.
The Inyo County, Basslet, or Bishop and Mammoth, that whole area, a large proportion of their economic income is off of fishing, is off of trout fishing. So Edison stocks their lakes. They have hatcheries. They have, trophy trout. They have all these different businesses that are revolved around fishing and the people that come in, hotels, Airbnbs, and so on, to where it's like there is a huge population and there's just a huge possibility to stimulate the economy off of just fishing alone.
100% right. I mean, they only have half a year of snow. I don't know about this year. It's going to be nuts with all the snow they have. It might actually last longer. Their other part of their community, which is snowboarding and all the snow things that they do. But you're right that fishing is a huge part of Bishop, Mammoth, everything in that area. Tahoe even I would argue that, there's a very limited amount of people that are actually fishing, but it is part of the economy up there and travel too. So, I think we're being undervalued is my point. I think all of us are making the same point.
100%.
We should riot.
Yeah. I'm down.
Let's go next Sunday.
I'm down for a riot, man. We haven't done one ever. So I think the only time that the fishing community ever actually did somewhat of a public riot was the MLPA 2010 or 2011, 2010, even into 2012. Every single public meeting, there was people pissed. And they don't realize, like, we're about to do the same thing again with 30 by 30. But it might get to that level, man. Like, people have you have to show in numbers, right? How do people make change? How did people make change done in 2020? They went in the streets, man. They were not afraid to go out there and show their faces.
Yes, sir.
Guys, do the same thing sometime, man. If you guys want to make a loud noise, the only way to do it is to be there with 20 other people with you, 40 other people, 3,000, 10,000. I'm sure we have more than that. People just need to come out of their houses every now and then and stop fishing for just a weekend,
Oh, that's hard.
It is. That's why.
I'm kidding.
And
man.
that is why there's not a lot of people that do this. So, because they're
for sure.
and they're enjoying life,
For sure.
Yeah, that's why CCA is important. By the way, that's my other sales pitch. You gotta. If people don't understand the value of CCA, it's like the recreational industry fishing industry only has so many advocates for it, and CCA is the only one that's actually there. Got that political level to save the skin of the recreational angler. It's one of the few, if not the only major one, and it's a national association. So very important to be a member. It's like if someone wanted to petition, what's more valuable, the petition or the members that are part of the organization or the association or organization, right? We're an association, we're a 501c3. So it makes sense for an angler to want to be part of that, because if we ever get to the point where we're like, we don't want this to be, our community does not support this, instead of having 3,000 members, we can have 100,000 members. Imagine how powerful that is, and it's just your name and a donation to keep your name on that list. So, it is important. It is very important for us to do that.
I think you just convinced the three of us to join up at this
pretty much
this trade show this weekend.
I'm sorry, Luke. Are you not?
I'm not.
No,
yeah,
I will too.
I'm gonna be after this weekend.
Yeah.
For sure.
Me and Charlie are gonna go do it together.
Again, I don't want to say
we're gonna film it. We're gonna post the video so that everyone knows it's real. And Daniel's not gonna do it because he's not part of the team. He's
for sure.
already in.
For sure. And
we're in need of members.
Yeah, and it is crazy because I haven't been fishing like how I fish now for a long time. I fished when I was younger. I got back into it, But it is crazy. Like, you know, certain spots you can't go to, you know, and they're kicking you out. People feel entitled to their spot, right? To their place where they live, you know, and it's like, I'm telling you, most of the places where I fish is public walkway, right? There are people walking.
Certain spots have fake
no code.
I was
It's just like,
oh my gosh, my favorite things. I'm gonna start, and for everybody in there, I'm gonna start making stickers that says, you know,
I like
I'm
it.
allowed to fish. Basically, fishing is allowed, and I'm just gonna start hanging signs because hey, there's no ordinance number, and if anyone can do it,
Again, there's legal reasons you're allowed to fish in, especially any public waterway. A privatized business cannot block access to the public waterways. That's illegal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is the state constitutional right for a California citizen. So,
and just for anyone listening, one of the things I always say when someone comes up and tries to start going at me, what shuts it down real quick was they just came and checked my fishing license. They didn't tell me to stop.
Hey, that's a good one.
That is a good one. I like that. I mean,
it is.
It's all.
Well, I came up with that one when that actually happened.
Yep.
I literally had them check my license. 10 minutes later, someone said, "You can't fish here." So that's really funny because they just checked me out.
And you're fishing there. I mean, the only thing I'll say is if you're gonna walk the walk, right? You got to know your rights, and I think that this is the one plug I'll throw in for like seeing something that I do that, you know, for my business. If you go to fishingreps.com and you go to articles, it literally, there's an article that has all the rights listed so you can walk around and know your rights. You know, you can know that you're allowed to do what you're doing legally in this state, and you shouldn't have to deal with any confrontation. It's actually legal to stop someone from the act of fishing in California.
We were just talking about that the other day. We were just talking about that the other day at our friend's little tournament that he had last Sunday. You know, we were because everybody kept coming up. You know, everybody. I came saying a story. Daniel had a story. You know, and he's like, Luke was like, you know what? It's actually legal to stop somebody from fishing.
Yeah,
which
it's illegal.
All right, so I was crawling out of the bushes. It's like 7:30.
The bushes you're allowed to be in.
Yes, okay. So the bushes are connected to the rocks, which are connected to the water, and I'm allowed to be there. But I was just crawling up, and I didn't see this beautifully old lady with 2 dogs, and I definitely scared her. And I just knew, I got 2 rods, a backpack, I got a bump board and everything. And I'm like out of the just all the planners and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, hi. Good morning, nice dogs. And I got like 30 minutes or less. I know she's going to call right now. So I power fished for 30 minutes. And then, you know, I got my headphones in. I'm vibing. Security comes by and she goes, hey, I got a couple of calls that you were, you know, to not let you fish here, which, but, you know, huge shout out to her because I talked to her for 20 minutes saying that I was allowed to fish there. But so she was super cool about it. She was like, yeah, you know, I don't really care. I have better things to do with my time. I have other things to do with my time, but we did get 2 calls by residents. And I went, trust me, I know exactly who called. I scared the shit out of her this morning.
Should have given her a few baits.
Should have
given her a couple cyclops instead of drop next to her dock and see what happens.
There you go.
I'd make some pink ones for the ladies, you know, and some whatever for the dudes. Just, you know,
here, ma'am, go drop this and catch a fish.
Hey, that's what I got.
What did you call it? What did you call it?
Yeah,
the Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Yep. Pink is bit,
Katy Perry.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start.
Oh, there you go.
Treats, and then just getting them. However,
so
I will have to.
So
say,
we got 5 minutes left. 5-minute mark. Where do we get
okay, so I think there'll be. Well, there's actually a few shops in your neck of the woods that I think would want to take them right now. I think that the first one might be Island. I think that Island, Sam was on that week. I think that Sam would probably be one of the first ones to really want to do it. I think everyone wants to do it, but like he understands with Simon, and they've talked for a long time. It's been a couple of years now. It's not just been recent.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone wants them. I think people and myself, I'm actually kind of guilty of this. It's really more or less of a problem from mine, and I haven't listed the blank book. You guys don't understand how many freaking blanks that Simon has. Like, he might have, I don't know how many. He might have over 2,000 designs. I'm serious. It's scary what he's done since 2007 and before that. So,
right.
I think the real problem we're having is trying to identify what it is he should focus in on. And because there's so many similar blanks, like what should be the products that are put out there? And, from there, I think it's just going to rip. The blank business, he's been in OEMing those for a long time. So I think Island, followed by, I think Bob Sands, Save-On, LA Fishing Alliance. I think, Fisherman's Access would want to do it. Sharkbait would probably love to do it. There's a lot of stores I think that would make sense doing it. I think pretty much everyone would want to do it, but it's just like figuring out what we should offer. So what Simon should bring to the table.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad I bought
not getting
my
one.
blank at the show. I was going to buy it the following week, and I bought it.
So what do you think?
Last minute. Well, I haven't caught as many fish as It's very specialty built. I wish I'd have left a couple more inches on the handle. I cut the handle down, but a lot of times when I'm fishing, I'm in the driver's seat, so I wanted less handle. So I really got to put in some time on. I've caught some from shore. I need to catch some from the driver's seat to see if I even built it correctly. But I think Charlie was there when I was catching some on it. It flips. We were fishing, I think 10 feet above the water. We're flipping them right over. Everything worked great. I
got a nice what? You had a 14? 14. Yeah, a little 14.
Well,
yeah, 14.
Well, when you have good
on the
feedback or bad feedback, let me know. I'm interested to know.
Well, as far as the rod work, everything's great. I just got to see if I did mine correctly.
That's the great thing about being a builder is that you never know until you're actually catching fish. It's all mystery until then. So never know what you're doing.
Yeah,
exactly. So, the bait reels.
They're in 7 locations, technically 8 in the Southern California area. Bob Sands, Tackle Express, Save-On Tackle, Fisherman's Access, Hogan's Bait and Tackle, Dana Landing, East County Bait and Tackle, and Lemon Grove. Those are the shops that have them. There's distribution territories we have to just abide by for the company because honestly that company's exploding in interest, but there's not enough inventory to be able to carry it over into an expansion plan. So we're focused on really, good stores that I feel like have had a good history with us and that can handle the volume and the customer base. It comes down to being able to represent the product right, not just for me to say it, but to have someone in the store also say the right thing. And it is a challenge because it's such a new product. I think a lot of people are misunderstanding it. That's why I like YouTube a lot. I think it's a great archive of information. So for us, I had 2 reels that broke down and I showed people what was inside it. It's no mystery anymore. But I think that reels, you guys should, you're already watching it. Wait till you see what's coming, man. It's going to get heavy soon. Very excited for the next round of new product release that's coming in the next 2 months. Very impressed. That Spotty guy is going to love it. My opinion about the spinning reel, Fishon was asking, I don't know. I'm getting my the next couple of days. They're not built like the reels that are the bait casting reels, like the Seaborn and the 150. They're not that machined aluminum, that CNC aluminum like that. The frames are, you know, they have composite on it. So I would say that there's going to be a new rendition of it at some point. It may take a while, but it's a very good company to keep an eye out for sure.
So my next question, I've been going to islands to pick these up. Where else?
That's at Fisherman's Access, Bob Sands, Hogan's Bait and Tackle, Dana Landing, the Submission Fishing Company stuff, Fisherman's Access. Did I see them already? Tackle Express has it. And we're going to expand more. They actually just got a fresh load of 10 and 15 grams, which we've been dying for because they've just been going off. So thank God we've got those.
Yeah, we went to islands and they had a fresh batch.
Yeah, they had fresh.
Yeah.
Let's go through the boxes.
Was that yesterday or
even
the day before?
Yet.
No, that was last week.
Oh,
yeah.
That
Thursday
wow,
last week.
Sick. Yeah, they.
Yeah. He was just like, oh, yeah, they're still boxed up, but you guys can go through them.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, that's rare.
So, and then you've got your bigger brands, like everyone's got Kicker, everyone's got Lateral Vision, everyone's got War Baits. I don't think
well
name all those shops.
Actually, Lateral Vision is something we need to get more of support behind and getting into stores. So if there's people that are out there that like it, please ask your stores to get Lateral Vision in. It's a very competitive world. You guys are wearing fish all right now. Apparel branding is so hard for people to compete in. I do feel like Lateral Vision it deserves its space in retail stores. Maybe not all of them, maybe certain ones, but they do deserve their space. I've seen plenty of people wearing lat, and not a lot of people acknowledge how many people do, but there's a lot of people that wear it. And I would love for them to be in more stores, but for now we'll take, good.
Yeah, they're going to be on in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was just about to say, small plug. I am trying to set up a schedule so that you guys can all see on my page who's coming up next week and the week after that and all that. I'm just busy. So it's sooner or later, I'm going to get a list of everybody who's going to join so that you guys can stay tuned and see who's hopping on. Lateral Vision is one of them that is coming on, and I'm really excited about that as a person who designs stuff and then just enjoys graphic designing in general.
I'm going to tell a quick story about that in our last minute here. It's
Nick and Derek.
It's Nick, am I correct? It's Nick. So Daniel posted this video. I did an edit. He didn't like my edit, so he posted his edit on YouTube. And I was like, you know what? Screw Daniel. I'm posting his edit on my page. So I post it. Like 10 minutes later, I was like, that was a cool edit. I'm going to look at that. I look at it, and I see Nick post a comment on there like, oh, I was the boat that drove by as you were catching that fish. That was a really good catch. And then none of us talk to each other during work hours. It's all text. I see Daniel comment like, oh, that was your red boat. That was really cool. Daniel, do you know who you're talking to? Do you have any idea who you're talking to? You tell them about the live right now.
That's how you guys got him on the schedule?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, Luke, I gotta smooch him a little bit. I gotta grease the palms. I can't just
no Vaseline.
No Vaseline.
Right in there, dude.
Kevin, we gotta get some of your marketing crew in here, man.
Hey, they're all been available whenever you want. Just message them; they'll be on. So,
well, we got Nate. So slowly working.
Yeah. You just go ahead and tell them they'll be on. They already know. They should have been on already before me.
Oh, we had.
We did. Nate was on. Nate was on. Man, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave today, and it shouldn't take as long, man. Let's talk PVs real quick, man. What are your spotty PVs? What are your calico PVs? And what's your sand bass? All three bass.
I didn't even get into the crazy.
I know that my PV spotty is 18.5 inches out of Mission Bay at night.
Nice.
My PV calico I weighed, and that was 8.75 pounds. And that's my profile picture on my website. And that was in May or April. I can't remember. I think it was May. No, maybe it was March. It was at San Clemente. It was at Pyramid. It was a really random day. I was tired of looking for tuna, and I went into the island just before sunset, and I was throwing into boilers, and I got bit in like 5 feet of water, and I swore I hooked a grouper, and I was pulling it away, and I freaking landed that thing, and I couldn't believe it, and that was cool. That was an unexpected PB. And then my personal best sand bass. I'm not really a sand bass guy. I'll admit to it, man. I don't get the damn things, man.
Yeah.
I think my personal best came probably a year and a half ago when I was fishing at night at night actually in a spot that's only accessible by boat. I never waited. I never measured it or weighted it. They just never really give me. They just never tickle my fancy, dude.
Yeah.
So
Ballpark.
It was probably 23 inches. That was my ballpark.
Nice.
It was a good one.
So you're going to call that an easy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big sand bass guy. I really suck at them, but I could probably fish a calico pretty good with some, pretty up there. Spotty for sure.
What I like about sand bass, when they get bigger, they get that head.
No. Sand bass. Oh, yeah. They get that bulldog head.
Bass, they get that head when they get bigger.
I've seen some sandies, dude, that I was next to, and I was like, that's a weird looking fish. Like, they get weird when they get old, Mm-hmm. I've seen some of the big, I used to dive for lobsters a lot. I can't tell you how many 10-pounders I've seen, man. I'm easily 10-pound sand bass. I've seen many diving rocks. Whoa.
The big calico got that knot on big fish sometimes.
Yeah, I like those ones. Those are like the old males, man. The ones that have been around for a while.
Yeah. Daniel just caught a 16 this past, right? It was a 16 sand bass?
At the tournament?
No, for the tournament.
16 inch.
For Ben's 2 Sundays ago.
Big old head.
It was an open bass. It was a harbor bass, tournament. So because there was a little discrepancy whether or not we were going to catch enough spotted bay bass. So I probably was in like 3rd place with just spotties alone. I'm like, man. And I've been throwing the A-rig all day. So I knew that's where my big fish were going to come on. And the last 2 casts, like it ends at 11:30. This is like 11:15 and 11:23 kind of thing. I land a 16 something and then a 14 something.
Oh, the A-rig. That's good times, man.
So
you just never know what you're doing that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
just
Jeremy.
We got to call it because we're already.
Jeremy asked where those sand bass were. I'll just give you a helpful hint. It's in San Diego. Very accessible to a short pounder. There you go. Yep. Really underfished for a
come down to San Diego and do some short pounding.
You'll get your butt handed though, so you're not going to land many. It's too hard. It's not easy, but you'll get them. You'll hook them.
All right, Kevin, man. Pleasure having you on. It was a blast hanging out with you, talking fishing. You have a lot of knowledge. Hopefully we could get you on again soon. I guess you have, I believe you have many, many more stories, man, and more knowledge to drop. But
yeah,
man, we didn't even talk about all those big fish you catch, man. Okay.
Another day.
Great way to put it, Charlie. Great way.
We didn't even talk about those white sea bass you catch, man.
So next time you're on, we're going to talk about the big fish, and I'm sure you'll have done more largemouth.
By this we have a big announcement coming up.
Yeah.
So.
We always need more largemouth. All right. We always need more people talking about freshwater, but on the announcement, we'll see you later.
Thanks.